All right, so we'll move right into our next session. So we will have the tea break soon, right after this session. Sorry for that. We are running slightly behind schedule. So we heard various stakeholders today. We heard from the industry, we heard from the government, the academia, even the entrepreneurs themselves. But at the end of the day, money matters. For startups, the mantra is to be so good that investors can't ignore you. They can't afford to ignore you. How good you should be, whether you should set a trend or you follow a trend. Let us hear that from the horse's mouth itself. Our next dialogue is dialogue with investors. For facilitating this, I would like to invite the moderator first, Mr. Sushanto Mitra, founder of angel investment platform Lead Angels and also former CEO of Sign. Sir, please. In fact, Mr. Sushanto Mitra was one of the first CEOs, is the first CEO of Sign during its foundation time, and I keep hearing a lot about you from Pony ma'am and Krishnavani ma'am. Oh, everything good, of course. I would also like to invite the other panel members as well, Mr. Samir Kumar from Inventors Capital, Mr. Sandeep Singhal from Nexus Venture Partners, Mr. Sanjay Nath from Bloom Ventures, Mr. Venkat Vallabhneni from Parampara Ventures, and finally, Mr. Sanjay Mehta from 100x.vc.
Thank you, Sai, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I think it's going to be a slight, our task for this panel is very easy because most of the discussions have already happened in the first morning and post-lunch sessions. So we'd rather keep a lot of time for interaction between the entrepreneurs and the investors and not get into large debates between the panel here. So what I'll be asking each of the panelists is a little bit about their fund and what types of companies that they're looking at, what are the trends that they see in the next 12 months, and what is their advice to all your entrepreneurs sitting here. And starting with you, Sanjay. Yeah.
Thanks. I think the order what IIT decided was also in the same. I write the smallest check and then it goes across. Increasing across. Sushanto started.
No, furthest away.
Yeah, okay. So, give you a brief introduction at 100x.vc. We are a first check VC fund where we take the utmost risk in terms of identifying the startup, curating them so that the rest of the panelists can fund them. So, we are a feeder to the complete VC ecosystem. Our goal is to invest in 100 startups every year. We began our journey last year, invested into 20 startups. In fact, at December 7th at the same hall, we showcased to the next set of investors and the journey has begun. We write across checks from 25 lakhs to 1 crore. And again, while it's a SEBI-registered fund, it is a proprietary money from Mehta Ventures, my family office. And the plan here is to discover a very early stage moonshot ideas, sector agnostic across the board, but Indian startups, India domiciled startups only. We have invested in diverse deep tech, consumer brands, robotics, blockchain. So there's no sector bias which we have. We see each deal in an opportunistic way. We are a team of 5. We sit out of Mumbai, and the best way to reach across is my email ID, which is pitch, pitch at 100x.vc. That's where we write across. And from a trends perspective, do we have or okay? So idea is the way we are looking across is Indian government has been setting up quite a lot of infrastructure. Previously, we were seeing across entrepreneurs who could build those, and right now, the digital India side of the story, the basic infrastructures are getting in place. So now, what we are looking across from a founder side of it, who are able to have an execution play using the current infrastructure and what kind of scale up can be built across in an existing, regulation kind of stuff, rather than saying that, okay, let's try to build something crazily new. Founders who have got the great execution capabilities, what we would look upon. From an 100x investment thesis, 5 points which we look into kind of stuff. One is the market size opportunity, how large and rapidly growing. Is the infrastructure ready for that market size? So for example, if I am looking across as an autonomous car kind of stuff, is my infrastructure ready? The market might be big, but the infrastructure also has to be ready for startup to make sense. The next is in terms of the founders' right to win. What kind of capabilities founders are bringing on the table? Would be investing across. So one of my portfolio company recently in news was Loginext. So the founders who had worked across in logistics, analytics space, built their career, started a logistics analytics company. I mean, those are the founders whom you would like to work with. Next is the business model strength. What kind of business model does this startup have an ability to make money? Is this model having an unfair advantage, any moat? The next is the IP side of it. Is there an IP which can create that unfair advantage? And lastly, we look upon conviction, where we can get 20x return for us. So idea is to ensure that if we don't have an exit momentum, which we can see on the business deck or after meeting founder, we would not invest. So one of the capabilities which we have been constantly now looking upon is the founder's ability to raise money. So that has become very, very important in the current times. So I think in a nutshell, that gives a brief story.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sushanto. So before I talk about inventors, I'll just say that as an alumnus of IIT Bombay, it gives me great pleasure and privilege to be here. So thanks, Sign and Poini, for inviting me. And as somebody who's been formally associated with Sign for the last 7 years, I'm really, really proud to see the 15-year celebration of Sign, and I wish it more success. Coming to inventors, we are, as Sanjay Mehta said, he's a feeder to funds like us. So we are a Series A investor. Typically, we invest bite sizes of 5 to 20 crores in Series A rounds that could be 10 to 40, 45 crores in size. We are technology focused, but technology with a broad brush. So we look at internet, SaaS product companies, mobile, IoT-based companies, machine learning-based applications. We've also now recently done a blockchain-based supply chain company and so on. So IT with a broad definition. And it also includes hardware. From the new fund that we just closed a few months back, we've started investing into hardware companies as well. So that's a little bit about inventors. In terms of the trends that we see, I think we are not very well placed to see the trends. The only thing that we say is there are many, many problems that India as a country has. Technology has a solution technology can be a solution for a lot of these problems. These problems are spread over education, healthcare, travel, financial services, and many other sectors, commodities, and so on. And we look for backing good entrepreneurs using technology to solve problems in any of these areas. In terms of how an entrepreneur should approach us, this is also what Sushanto had asked us to cover. We are hungry to meet entrepreneurs who fit our stage, so we don't invest in raw startups. We don't invest in very, very early startups. We need to see our startups having some revenue, probably the product built so that technology risk is out of the equation. And then we look to fund the next stage of growth. So we take off from where Sanjay Mehta's 100x.vc brings the startups to, and we look for taking them from that stage to the next. You can write into us. We have a website. You can send your plans through that. in general, in venture capital, if you come referred, it helps. Our principle, though, is that we try and respond to every plan that comes into us. We also have a deadline of responding within a week. I don't think we meet it every time. But if you come referred, there's that much more attention that your business plan or your email will get. Thanks, Sushant.
Sure. The two Sanjays are together on the side. So I'll just pick up from where Sanjay Mehta started. So I'm one of the founders of Bloom Ventures, and we actually started we started in the sense what you're doing now. When we started in 2011, we were a feeder of Bloom Ventures 1 to the VCs. And it's interesting for the audience. I'd say all of us here are part of the whole early stage ecosystem. But even within us, we have different slivers, right? I think the simple message is for the entrepreneurs to also do their homework and diligence. So think of us as our own evolution was, we started with about 15 million. The second fund was 60, and today we are just over 100, this new fund. And in stage similar to Sameer's Inventus, where we are, think of us as after going to 100x, and then before the larger traditional A's like the Nexus, so we're like a pre and A fund. We have offices in Bangalore, Delhi, and Bombay. And we've also, what's a little different about us is we've also built out quite a wide platform. So we have, in addition to the investment team, we also have professionals who help entrepreneurs with, the finance and accounting, the back office, marketing, branding, fundraising, market development. And we've just seen that at the early stage, those elements are very helpful to founders. In terms of sectors, right from consumer internet, lots of transformation is going to happen in those core areas of financial services, healthcare, edtech. But we're also seeing seeing B2B not just for SaaS and global markets, but also in India, in areas like agri-tech and fintech. Also India 2.0, India 3. So a lot of sub-themes happening. And in terms of check size, we are again, pre-A. So we will look at anything from about 750K to about 1.5 million. So in that sense, we are pre-A. And yes, we've also, in addition to the global platform, we are also part of the Draper Venture Network. That is something that's a global affiliation of venture firms around the world. And we also, with two Valley VCs, we set up a B2B enterprise accelerator fund called Arca Venture Labs. That is actually an earlier stage that looks at $500,000 rounds, typically in B2B, both deep tech and enterprise SaaS companies that are focused mainly on global markets. So in one sense, we've seen the evolution, we've been part of it, and it's great to see 100x and the others come in and fill. I think the opportunities, and there is help to be given to founders at all levels. So it's great to see that.
I'll just talk a little bit about Lead Angel also, which is also, at the earliest stage. So after having spent 5 years at Sign, along with a professor and a student from IIT Bombay, I set up Lead Angels. And Lead Angels essentially invests about 1 to 1.5 crores in early stage companies. We are a group, unlike all the named people that you will hear and have heard, who invest a single check into your company. We are a group of investors who invest their individual checks into the company. So we are a group. We invest in, again, sector agnostic, typically the first check that goes into the company. And many of our investee companies are from IIT Bombay. I think about 30% of our portfolio is from IIT Bombay. And about 60% of our portfolio is from the IITs. So we very much look forward to seeing companies from IIT alumni coming to us. And that was, of course, the objective of Lead Angels itself. And the best way to approach us is to send a mail or connect on LinkedIn or Facebook and send us your plans. Thanks. Venkat?
Let me speak before Sandeep, otherwise I'll look pale after that, right? So I should be sitting right between two Sanjays as far as the size is concerned, right? Fund size.
Two Sanjays, one Sandeep.
Right?
And one Sandeep.
Right. So as far as our fund is concerned, it's called Parampara. And so we are a technology-focused fund. before I go further, let me say that we are a startup. So we are a startup that helps other startups. And our first fund has been $20 million. We finished deploying the fund. Our next fund, next phase is 100 million. We just announced that fund called InflexR. We completely focus on technology alone. Anything that got to do with IP and innovation. And in the first fund, our check size was around 400,000 to 1 million range. And if you remember in the morning, both two companies mentioned our name, right? IT Mumbai company and then PlayShifu as well, right? Altenberg and PlayShifu, our poster boys out there. It's good to see them talking about our fund, how they were successful using our funds as well, right? So coming to the second fund, our size would be around between $3 to $4 million, and exposure would be around $4 million. But we'll start with probably writing checks around 1 million and stick to those companies till they become ready for Series B. So initially we might write checks for pre-Series A around $1 million, and work with them through Series A and help them to Series B. That's a goal, right? So we would do around 20 companies in my view, right? Looking at $100 million. That's a goal in the next 3 to 4 years. As far as the vertical focus is concerned, as I said, it's a technology fund. We look at all the verticals, but there is some focus. Consumer tech, agri-tech, and we also look at fintech, and also some horizontal such as AI, ML, right? And hardware companies also we look at, right? So as far as incubators are concerned, if you look at our Fund 1 portfolio, out of 12, there are 3 companies came out of educational incubators. One from IIT Bombay, other one IIT Delhi, one is IISc, right? All 3 are extremely doing well. Actually, IIT Delhi company, the CEO was, he started the company when he was in 3rd year. So advice to the companies, my view is if you're looking at early stage companies, focus on, do your homework well, very well, right? The problem I see with most of the entrepreneurs is they think their idea is the greatest. They don't spend enough time doing the homework. When you start an idea, start with thinking about there are 30 companies in 30-mile radius doing the same thing. So do your homework. What I said would be true. Second thing is, do your financials well. Because most of the companies before approaching, I would take exception to Sanjay's method, but anything beyond that, right, in terms of pre-Series A or Series A, you got to get your financials right.
So come to 100x and then we'll take him.
Right. So when I said financials right, generally what we look for is, apart from idea, team, and execution, that's all taken, right? Some financial side of it, if you receive, the sales and receivables should be upticking, right? That means the idea is proven. There's a upward growth in the sales. Second thing is, are you spending on sales? If you are spending on sales, how is the ratio to sales to closures? These are the kind of metrics we look at, right? Make sure you get your financials right. I will stop there.
Hi, I'm Sandeep Singhal. I'm a co-founder of Nexus Venture Partners. We are a cross-border fund, slightly larger than the others over here. Our last fund we closed at $350 million. We focus in 2 areas. So one is cross-border technology. We have an office in Menlo Park. We will invest in companies here that we can take global. And at the same time, we'll invest in companies in the US that we can bring to India. So that's the cross-border technology bit. We also do domestic consumption businesses. But our domestic consumption plays would all be technology-based. So tech-enabled consumption platforms. So those are the sort of 2 areas where we are focused. I have a very interesting maybe a different view in terms of how to think about working with VCs. You have no revenue, doesn't matter. You can come to me, I can write you a $5 million check with 0 revenue. Why? Because I think what you're building is so unique that you can build $1 billion business out of this, right? So fundamentally, it comes down to the person who's approaching us and what they're looking to do and how convincing they can be in outlining their vision and basically being able to say that if I am given the money, I have the fortitude in me, I have done my homework, as you said, and be able to say, I can build $1 billion company here. And money doesn't matter then, because you have a person in front of you who can build a company, and then money is only a secondary factor in that. So when we look at investments, we don't really put a sort of constraint on saying, we'll write a $500,000 check, or we'll write $1 million check, or we'll write a $5 million check. We have, backed businesses from returning entrepreneurs where we've given them $8 million going in. We've done, I want to thank Sign. We actually, one of our first investments in our first fund, way back in 2008, was in Professor Surya Narayan, right? And I think he spoke earlier today. When he came to meet with us, there was zero revenue, right? He was taking a technology that his lab had built at IIT and said, I have this one customer that has proven that this technology works. And I can now go ahead and go and compete with Bosch. And by the way, Bosch is a $8 billion revenue company. I think maybe I won't get to 8 billion, but I can get to $1 billion in revenue over a period of time. And we said, okay, sounds interesting. We went a little deeper, understood what they were doing, and we wrote them the first check. So I think it's a question of, what is it that you're building? And, can you convince me that you can actually build a large company here, and we'll go take it from there.
Wonderful. So we have lots of time for questions, and very happy to receive them. And you can actually identify the panelists that who you like to answer that question. Right? Yes, please.
What is the rate of return you are expecting generally?
So, we are probably the riskiest investment class that you will see. So Sanjay said he would expect 20x, right? And 20x over what time frame? 3 years, 4 years?
4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years, right? So you can do your math. And effectively, he's expecting a 70 to 80% IRR.
So my current IRR in my 100 plus individual portfolio company is 110% cash on cash.
So we got 2 exits so far. We got around 60% IRR, but the point is, I think you need to look at 30 to 40% range is IRR, in my view. I mean, that's what we'd look for.
So again, I think if there was a fund that gave 100% IRR, they would take all the money from the world and be available. So it doesn't work that way, because the expectation going in is you're going to basically tell me that I'm going to build a business that will give this 60%, 70%, 80% IRR. But there will be, problems along the way. Some companies don't make it. So in the law of averages, if you look at it, the expected IRR in the VC space is somewhere, I would say, in the high teens to mid 20s. So that's the expectation.
Yeah, one question, and then you can come back. Yeah.
Maybe a debatable question. How do you evaluate the company valuation? Like how much equity you should take on your investment?
So idea is that's why we created SafeNote, which pushes that valuation story once you have some base data. At the seed stage, it's very difficult to value the company. So the way we invest in 100x is using a investing document called India Simple Agreement for Future Equity. You go to 100x website, you can download the document, it's open source. That iSafe, what it does is, it's a convertible note form, but it's not a debt on your book. So it's a very simple 6-page founder-friendly document, which has all the rights for founders and none for investors. Just look up on it, and it helps across, pushes the valuation to the price round, where you would have some basis, some data to decide on how the company can be valued upon. And then these are the guys who can value it.
Venkat, you want to give it a shot about valuation.
Valuation is a tricky question in my view, right? I think the way we would look at it is when somebody comes to early stage VC and pre-series A, at least from our side, if you come with some advisor, that is Sanjay or somebody else, that would be useful because it's very hard. It's not a science, right? You got to figure it out. It's a negotiation. It's a lot of things, as Sandeep said, right? Body language, whether we believe in you or not. So come with some, obviously cash flows and discount cash flows. All that is, just a spreadsheet, right? So, but come back with, we have a method for sure. We do bottom up, top down, all the necessary, math, right? By looking at your market size and so on and so forth. But you get our advisor, come to us, and that makes it very easy.
Sandeep?
So it's a bit of a clearing market. I would say there's no science to this at all. How many people are interested in you will ultimately define the valuation that you will get. So if there is one person that is interested, that person will drive your valuation to whatever he or she thinks is fair. If you have 7 people that are interested, you will define what the valuation will be and who you'll take money from. That's unfortunately the nature of how this industry works. Today, it's a very interesting phenomenon, and we are all dealing with this issue that the amount of capital being raised is being used as a definition of valuation. So I have an entrepreneur that comes to me and says, I don't want to dilute more than 15% or 20% of the company, and I want to raise $5 million. Okay, what do you have to show me for those $5 million? What will you use that money for? Oh, I really don't know. I can tell you roughly, broadly, I can spend 2 million here, I can spend 2 million there. What will happen with that money? No clarity. But because you have defined a valuation in your mind that I only want to dilute 20%, you start sort of working backwards to say, this is the money I'll raise. And I think that is a big problem, and I'll tell you what the problem here is, that once the company raises a lot of money, at that point I may even give you the money, but there is a pressure on you to deploy and show me the returns from that, right? As he said, that there's a return expectation. Now, if you don't have a market that's ready, or you don't have a product that's ready, you will be sort of chasing that with a pressure from your investor saying, where's the return, where's the return? What are you going to show me next year and so on. So a company can get into a situation where you burn your money too early trying to chase that return rather than taking money in the right amount, which you can actually deploy and build a business in a thoughtful manner. And that's one of the challenges we are seeing right now, Samir, I think.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So
Samir,
the way we go across is work with the founder, backward saying that if they were to raise or run across this company for 12 to 18 months, what's the money required? Is that the metric good enough for them to raise the next round? And then we help these founders pitch to any of these VCs with a at least basis on saying that there is enough equity left on the table also for VCs to start looking and make it meaningful kind of stuff.
Sanjay? Go ahead.
So the only thing I'll add, I completely agree with what Sandeep has said. Valuation should never become a focus of any discussion. Any sensible VC will want to make sure that the entrepreneur has enough skin in the game in terms of his equity holding at the end, not just in the beginning, at the end, so that there is meaningful motivation for him to drive a good outcome.
Yeah, I wanted to bring in a qualitative aspect to this question. I think what you've asked, a lot of people are interested in the answers. So I think it's important for you all to also understand, and know many of you will do that. Anybody on this side, like none of us want to run your companies, right? You want the founder to actually at the exit to obviously be have enough icing on the cake and actually have the cake, and we make money after you make money. That's the most important, right? We're not private equity large majority investors. That's one. Secondly, as important as how much you raise is also who you raise from and at what stage. So for example, if you look at what Sanjay is doing at 100x, I think it's great, especially for very, very early stage companies, because you don't, as a founder, you don't want to waste time raising. You want to get that out of the way and build product. But when you get to the next level, I mean, we think that it is our job to price that risk, right? That is what our LPs are paying us for. at the right time. I mean, I think convertible notes are great, especially at that stage, but you can't keep on doing that forever because that's what we get paid for. So I think who you raise from, we've actually advised founders sometimes to take a lower valuation but from a better quality VC, because that VC is a true partner along the way. So not taking names, but you have to bring in that aspect. It's not an auction, right? It's not whoever gives you the best valuation, you do that. And I agree that it's a bit of, it's as much art as science. Now, even within that, you have the second-time entrepreneurs who are coming out. In fact, even in our own fund, we've got portfolio construction. We've left that as a separate bucket where if you have a second-time or third-time founder, this is not a formula, right? They're, of course, going to raise more at different valuation because there's a market premium because they've been there, done that before. But a first-time founder, whatever the idea is, can't claim and say, they raised it, so I'm going to do it. So it is really a case-by-case basis, and I would definitely suggest that it's very important to have personal chemistry also. It's not just what valuation you get, but personal chemistry with the person on the other side, how we are going to be long-term partners.
Yeah, maybe the lady, yes.
So I'm Priyanka. I own a robotics company, EdTech company. And now my company is 2 years old. I am having revenue. I have 100 students. Is it a good time for me to go for investment? And what kind of investment should I go for, like Sanjay said, like check kind, or should I go for Series A investment? So how should I plan? And my second question is, in an EdTech company, what do you see, what points do you make sure, they are there in place before investing money?
Anybody who's invested in it?
Yeah, I mean, we have two companies. One is PlayShifu and other one is ThirdFlix, right? They're in two different areas. One is physical toys. Other one is content. So the first one, I think you were there in the morning, and it's pretty clear they developed this AR-based toys, and they went into the global markets, right? Which is very, very successful model. Difficult, but successful, right? If you look at the ThirdFlix, they have the content-based approach, and they have two different things, right? One is the ERP equivalent for the educational institutes. Other one is a content. So first one, not scalable. They're focusing on the content. So that, when we looked at it, the total funding was around 25 crores was being put in between three of us. So primarily content play, scalability is there. And they did not raise money before that. They directly came because founder put their own money, right? As far as your question is concerned, it depends on you. First is, if you haven't raised any money and if you want to go to your family, friends first, and if there's enough contacts you have, you should do that. Because, if you have some revenue, if you have, pre-Series A companies, I think I'll leave it to Sanjay to answer the, first part. If you come to pre-Series A company, at least from our side, we look for at least business model validated, some cash flows are coming, not necessarily profitable. We might be losing money, but the cash flow should be coming in, there's growth in there, right? And you have some team, and you have energy to do things, right? Yeah, absolutely.
So for us, if I were to look upon as, do you really need money? It's a great business which you are building. Do you really need VC money? Because once you are raising capital in this form, it's like a treadmill. You have to continuously raise money. Are you ready for that hard rigor, right? It's tough to, continue. You are on a 24/7 pressure to perform, because what is expected out of any one of us is velocity, high velocity, high growth. Now, there are great businesses which make profit, and it's fantastic. So if I were to put two brackets, let's say there is a great business which is growing at 40% and maybe 40% EBITDA, great business, and I continue doing. And there might be businesses which are, making losses, maybe burning money, but growing at 200% growth rate. My focus would be more on those kind of business, because those are hyper velocity growth. And I would like to see if there is a momentum which I can catch up on. So you need to figure out whether really you want a VC money or not. And idea here is if you are going on that path, how do you make yourself investable and ready so that you can raise subsequent round? if there is not an appetite to raise larger amount of investment and resources to grow, then for us, exit doesn't become viable.
Go ahead.
My question to everyone over here is, looking at the Industry 4.0,
what kind of new avenues are opening up in the market? Like which organizations or which domain you are investing more as of now?
So, I mean, we are sector agnostic, so we have been investing across the board. But, so for example, in the consumer brand, we are now more or less looking into digital brands, individually consumer brands, which were not existing, using the current infrastructure, which I mentioned earlier, like marketplaces of Flipkart and Amazon, has created 100 crore plus worth of brands, which was not there in traditional brick and mortar. There are companies like, for example, Decadence, which we have invested, which is a spoonable fudge, but it's all digital. There is no physical kind of story out there. So there are different businesses which are getting created across basis on the current infrastructure, the technology trends. So one is what we look upon is there a market disruption happening across due to technology trend, or else is there a opportunity to see a market gap? So for example, in the consumer brand, we saw a market gap with Kulberg, which is a non-alcoholic beer company. So you look upon each individual deal to deal and sector agnostic from an 100x perspective. What I know is what I don't want to invest.
So just a quick thing. You asked specifically for Industry 4.0.
Yes.
Were you thinking around manufacturing, or what was the?
What's the trend from your end? Like you are reading the market compared to all the young entrepreneurs, or we all, listening to you guys. So you are catching up to the market and you are updated. So just want to get an insight from you. What is that the new trend is for the investment?
So my answer would be very simple. Don't expect VCs to tell you what the trends are so that you can start a business. The entrepreneur's job, it's the entrepreneur's job to identify the problem, say that this is the way I can solve it and I can solve it better than anybody else, and then come to an investor and saying, this is how I'm solving the problem. But a more serious answer, whether it's Industry 4.0 or anything that we all have talked about, if it fits our sector focus, we are very happy to look at it.
So a couple of things quickly I'll give you, right? I've seen companies focusing on supply chain optimization by putting the IoT there, right? And really taken to the next step, right? Second thing is I've seen companies, business models around reducing the breakdown time, right? In an industry by putting the IoT devices there. How efficient you can reduce the breakdown time. So these are a couple of use cases, right? There are quite a few use cases around Industry 4.0, around manufacturing, around supply chain. How do you increase the efficiency? Yeah.
I think, just go ahead.
Yeah, just, it's interesting when we think of new tech, you always think of applying it to the new economy. But actually, like we've got a company called Grey Orange Robotics. And if you think about the biggest beneficiary of new leading edge tech is actually the old economy, right? Warehousing, industrial, let's say the old economy. And I think on the B2B side, what is interesting is that is evolving and morphing beyond just enterprise SaaS, right? So you're seeing, you're seeing drone tech, space tech, agri tech. Another interesting theme, we are not in the business of predicting themes, but if you looked at consumer brands and traditional tech VCs like us, we typically earlier never co-invested. Now you're seeing, right, everybody wants to go digital. So you're seeing whether the coffee shops or, different kinds of consumer brands, they are in a sense as much a tech platform as brands. So you're seeing those two worlds also meshing.
So three things typically, which I would leave with you, where if you are able to show that to any VC, any trend will work, right? Whatever the trend in the market, right? First one, when you showcase your slides about your product, market, and is there money to be made? वो दिमाग में एक ही चलता है, इसमें पैसा बनेगा नहीं बनेगा. Then the founder team, are these people who will make me money? And finally, the terms financial, how much money I will make. Three things. Is there money to be made? Are these people who can make me money? How much money I can make? ये तीन का tick हो गया, you will get funds.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, sir, if the industry is, if the company is kind of a research consultancy sort of company, if there is no product, but it's a consultancy services kind of company. Revenue is coming, business model is there. So as an investor, what is your take on it?
No.
Acha.
Why do you need money? Why do you need money? If your business, your consulting is doing well, there will be enough surplus being generated to grow the company.
If the company doesn't have any product, but let us say, so you are saying something? Yes.
Sandeep.
Yeah, so I think, again, different VCs have different thesis on how they, invest and build companies. Services has moved from being a VC investable business to a private equity investable business. So private equity looks at this as either a platform play where they will sort of take your consultancy business and then to drive growth, they will actually either do acquisitions or other things. So there are private equity players in the market today. Banyan is one example that invests in services businesses. So it's not that there aren't, you just have to do the work and find out who has a services business mindset and then go approach them.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Most of you invest in IT, ITS, e-commerce, mobile and all that. What about hardcore science and engineering? Every base traction. Is there any particular reason for
Sir, if you look at our portfolio, we have hardcore engineering companies, right? Atomberg is being one, right? And Checker is another company, which is energy, sector based, right? They do the pollution control, right? Based on they have a mechanical device that attaches to DGSat, right? Out of IIT Delhi. So we have Space Tech, which is completely engineering based. So 4 out of 12. Core engineering. So we do it. All of us do it.
Yeah. But Shashi's business is fundamentally around deep technology. They are competing with the best in the world, and they're actually winning against the best in the world, right? So what is the challenge that we have seen with deep sort of science in India is there is a big gap between the scientists and the commercialization. So if you can find, for us, it's fundamentally having that team that is able to convince us that it's not just about the science, but it's about the application that you build on it and that you actually commercialize, right? So if there is great science, we are happy to look at it, but it has to be packaged in the context of how will this build a business?
Just somebody else. Somebody was there.
Sir, a question from here. So, okay. Okay, so there's a thing called pre-series A, and we have series A. So can you put some light on pre-series A? What kind of metrics you guys look for? Because I think majority of the companies here, we are into early stages, and it's important to understand what is pre-series A.
I'll take that. I'll go back to something that Sandeep was saying in the sense that, there's a dangerous thing is about formula because then let's say you think about something and then you can sometimes game or redesign your business to do that, and that's not the right way. It's more to do with our fund sizes, right? In a sense, it's the opposite problem because you've got to deploy funds. So typically, if you look at, and by the way, if you compare to the Valley, what is interesting is, because we get there often. What is a pre-A round here is actually a seed round there, right? An A round is very large. So I remember on a lighter note, I remember I was there some time back and people said there were small A's, there were large A's, there were fake A's, there were all kinds of A's. So the point is usually A's are, let's say, about 3 to 5 million plus, right? And if you look at what we're seeing now is once you've got or getting to, let's say, using this word product market fit, you've got your initial pilots, let's say for a B2B company, and you're looking for that first institutional round after friends and family or after 100x, before traditionally, that's usually the pre-A. I don't think the specific metrics per se, but the whole idea is that it's more than the founders. There's evolution on all aspects, right? Let's say there's a founding team, plus there's a team that's actually building, let's say, the product. You've got traction along it's much more than an idea. And so I won't really, back to what Sandeep is saying, I won't really differentiate and say, okay, I'm ready for pre-A, I'm not ready for A. And in some cases, a founder might go and raise a 10 million rounds straight, and sometimes you might actually raise a 500K and then like a company like you might just raise a Series C directly for 40 million, right? So I wouldn't put too many metrics into that.
Yeah, I actually want to share an anecdote with everyone here. There's a company called Postman. I don't know how many of you use that tool. It's a API management tool. It's started by a guy named Abhinav Asthana from BITS Goa campus. He was working at Yahoo. He realized that there was a problem in how APIs were being tested, created a tool, put it into open source, and one of our portfolio companies was using it. So the CTO of the portfolio company told my colleague, hey, there's this amazing tool called Postman. You should find out about who's actually building it. So my colleague reached out, found this gentleman, he was in Bangalore. He met the guy, said, this is amazing what he's doing. He called me up, he said, Sandeep, we have to meet this guy. Abhinav shows up in our office. We have a discussion. He says, so I asked him, how many people are using your tool? He says, 600,000 people have downloaded it. I have 300,000 people who are actually using it. And so I asked him the question, how big is your team? He said, you're looking at it. Right? So my next question was, when do you sleep? His answer was, I wonder that myself. I still remember that. I'll never forget that, right? Now the question to you is, should he raise a pre-Series A? Should he raise a Series A? Should he raise a Series B, Series C, right? There's no answer, right? So that's the challenge that you will run to as entrepreneurs, is you have a business to build. What you want to make sure is you're working with a partner who can stay with you through the journey. And if you start getting into these issues of Series A, pre-Series A, and so on, maybe it's not the right partner. You just have to say, okay, this is how I want to build my business. Are you there with me? And that's how it works, right? So this gentleman took $1 million from us at the start. Within a year, he had raised $7 million more from us because we just saw the growth. And today, he just raised around $50 million, right? He's got 10 million users on his platform today. So these are the examples. This is what you guys should all be striving for. I think this is how large businesses in India would get built. And one of the things that you Shanto said is, what are the trends, right? So fundamentally, the big shift that's happening in India is what I think you mentioned, the infrastructure, right? The nature of infrastructure is changing so that scale can happen much quicker. And as entrepreneurs, one of the things I would recommend to you, all of you, is think about that scale and how you would make it happen. Because that's what the people in Silicon Valley are doing, that's what people in other parts of the world are doing, and that's what we have to do.
So I'll just take 10 seconds, right? Since we do the similar kind of funding, Atombug is an example, right? When they came to us, they were doing 20 lakhs a month. We look at that they're asking, 5 to 7 crores kind of range, right? If you're asking that kind of money, we look for at least making around 15 to 20 lakhs revenue a month. Some customers, business model is validated, and there's a evidence of growth. That's what we look for, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, one last question, probably.
We have time for one last question?
We don't actually.
We don't. We'll take it offline. We'll take it offline.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
panel members. Really appreciate your time. Can I request the following sign entrepreneurs to hand over the token of appreciation to the panelists? To hand over the token to Mr. Samir Kumar, I welcome Ms. Gunjan Jain, founder and CEO of Vital Healthcare Private Limited. Vital is in the space of tech-enabled pharma and pharma doctor and patient engagement in cancer care, urological disorders, and women health. Gunjan, can I also request you to hand over the token to Mr. Sandeep Sinhal? To hand over the token to Mr. Sanjay Nath, I welcome Mr. Malay Dikshit, founder and CEO of Pycium Health Sciences Private Limited. So Pycium is in the domain of dental healthcare. They make better quality nano-engineered dental burrs. Malay, can I also request you to hand over the token to Mr. Venkat? To hand over the token to Mr. Sanjay Mehta, I welcome Mr. Kaushik Bose, founder and CEO of SAS Labs. So SAS Labs they are into data analytics and smart metering with their product, which is positioned as Fitbit for homes. Sus Labs users are saving 17.5% of electricity every year. Kaushik, can I also request you to hand over the token to Mr. Sushanta Mitra? Is Professor Amarnath here? If you'd like to pose for a group photograph, I'd like to invite you as well, Professor, if you're here. Okay, it's okay, I don't think he's here. We'll pose for a group photograph. Thank you. Professor Amarnath is here, just if you could, just here, So Professor Amarnath is, sir, I've heard a lot about you from both Poini ma'am, Krishnaveni ma'am. Like when Sushanta sir was also there, Sign was just a 3-member team. And now after 15 years, we are 22 members. So, you know, they were like the cornerstones. Poini ma'am, if you can also come onto the stage, please. Krishnaveni ma'am as well. Yeah. Guys, I have a special request from the startups here. So there are 3 more startups which needs to present. And they said if you give a tea break now, everybody will go back and nobody's going to come and listen to their pitches. And they wanted the investors to be here as well to listen to their 5-minute pitch each, please, if that is possible. So without any further ado, I would like to invite the 3 startups for their pitching, if that is okay with everyone. It's going to take 5 minutes and they would like to present their... It's the finalist pitches that we have for Best on Campus award. I would also like to make an announcement regarding the session on Ask Any Question on Incubation Management. So there is another parallel session which is happening right now. And those of you who have registered for the session on Ask Any Question on Incubation Management, or those of you who would like to know more about incubation management, may please proceed to seminar room number 3, which is just across the auditorium on the ground floor. Seminar room number 3 on the ground floor. And we have Kanan. Can you raise your hand? So we have Kanan. So for the incubation managers and those who are interested in incubation may proceed there. And high tea will be soon after this 15-minute 3 startup pitches. So please hang in there, guys. So after that, we can have a more wider networking. I would like to invite Atharva Patankar, my colleague, for taking over the session, please. Atharva.